Hey, what's going on guys, it's Chickens here, and today we'll be going over some advanced strategies and OP glitches you need to know in Age of Calamity. I already went over some of these in my character guide videos, but I learned a few more from just playing the game, as well as from the comments from you guys, so I thought I'd just put them all here in a single video. We won't be going over every character since some of them really don't have any obscure strategies or glitches they can do, and I just wanted to leave the more notable ones in here. So without further ado, make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get this video started. There is one strategy that mostly everyone knows, but I thought I should just mention it really quickly just in case. This strategy is stasis cancelling, which means you cancel out of whatever attack animation follows your stasis by quickly pressing B after you use it. You should pretty much stasis cancel in every situation, and I can't think of a situation where you wouldn't want to. This strategy applies to every character besides Bo Zelda, Rook, and Master Koga because it's impossible to cancel out of their animations. On to the actual list now, and first up we have One-Handed Link and a couple of ways he can easily expose weak point gauges. The first is through using his bow unique action to target weak spots on enemies. These weak spots are either the heads on Moblins and Lynels, eyes on the Hinoxes and Guardians, as well as the ore deposits on Taluses. So what you want to do for this is make sure you have a medium distance between you and your enemy, and then quickly shoot your bow at their weak spot. He shoots a couple of arrows per use, so you should be able to hit it most of the time, but if you're struggling you can always try to back up a little bit, or you can always backflip by holding down on the control stick and then pressing B. Then if you press ZR mid-flip, you'll go into a bullet time mode, which will make things a lot easier since you have a lot more time to aim your shot. Once you do hit your shot though, make sure to use stasis really quickly afterwards if you want to keep that weak point gauge exposed and do some extra damage. The other way to expose weak point gauges that doesn't require his unique action is just to use his combo 6 to stunlock enemies. All you need to do for this is to equip your weapon with all attack speeds on it. Once you do that, all you need to do is to walk up to a boss and use your combo 6 really quickly on him, and then the last hit should always expose his weak point gauge. And then while he's stunned, make sure to use another combo 6 on him, and then by the time he recovers, you should be near the last hit on that combo 6, which will expose his weak point gauge yet again. If you do this correctly, you should probably be able to stunlock bosses around 80 to 90% of the time, if you have the attack speed plus pluses on your weapon. And then like in the other method, make sure to use your stasis whenever you can to keep them stunned for a little bit longer. You will be stunning the bosses faster than your Rook can recharge, so you won't be having it all the time, but make sure when you do have it to use it as much as possible, just to make this way easier on yourself. Next up, we have an easy way to get close with Impa. All you need to do is press ZR 3 times and then follow it up with a combo 4. Your combo 4 should teleport all enemies with symbols on them and absorb them, making this the easiest way to get max close with Impa. You can also try to get symbols off of dead enemies before they despawn by quickly applying a symbol to them. Then after a couple seconds when they fade away, you'll automatically gain their symbol without having to do anything. But this one's a little bit harder to do though, so I just recommend using the first option if you want to get max close easily. Now I'll go over a really easy way to take out bosses with Sheikah Slate Zelda. All you need to do for this is use your Magnesis rune followed by her regular attack. Zelda's regular attack makes her pull out a metal box from the ground, and when you have a Magnesis active, it will be absorbed into the pile above her head. When you add this box to her Magnesis, it will now have the ability to expose weak point gauges on any boss. But before you throw it, make sure you allow your runes to recharge, and then once that's done, quickly throw your Magnesis and then follow it up with a stasis to keep that weak point gauge exposed. Then you can easily shred the gauge by using her Alt 3X combo and then just repeat the strategy over and over. The strategy is essential to playing Sheikah Slate Zelda effectively, and it's a little weird to use at first, so I recommend trying to practice it a couple of times. Mipha doesn't have any crazy broken strategies you can use for her combat, but there are some pretty useful things you need to know about her healing. First, all of the fountains she makes by pressing ZR will heal all of her allies that touch them, and if you just leave them there for a while, it can fully heal them for free. If you're wondering how to do this, it's not that hard, just send whatever character you need to heal somewhere near Mipha, preferably in a corner. Then just use Mipha to keep throwing down fountains until you can land one on top of them. Then just stay put and you'll notice that their health will slowly keep climbing up all the way until the max. This does take quite a while though, so if you want a second option for healing your allies, you can always just use her special attack whenever your allies are close by. This will heal half of their health instantly, so if you want a quicker way to heal, just make sure to use this method as long as you have special attacks with you. Next up, we'll go over some ways to make Rivoli's Midair flight a little bit more convenient. First, you can get yourself mid-air in some of your grounded combos. If you press B after the animations of either the YX or YYXX grounded combos, it will automatically send Rivoli into mid-air mode. You can also use a wall jump to go mid-air too, although there aren't really many times you can do this. Rivoli's mid-air flight is usually clunky and hard to make turns in, but if you use your dodge while mid-air to either the left or the right, you can make those sharp turns a little bit easier. Just be warned though, if you have him dodge backwards, it will make him land, so sometimes you can accidentally do that, so just be careful. Daruk's block works differently than every other block in the entire game, as it will grant him both complete invincibility and stun resistance to any attacks. You can use this to bait out weak point gauges on bosses, as you can just stand next to them with your shield up and wait for their attack animations to expose themselves. This also works for not actively blocking, but whenever he has protection up in any of his attacks. The only attack that he isn't invincible to though is the Lionel attack, where they slam their weapon into the ground and cause a huge explosion, so make sure you actually try to avoid that attack. Verbosa has this strange glitch that lets you use an infinite amount of midair attacks. What you want to do for this is use her bomb rune to get her midair first, then usually use her midair combos and fall back into the ground, but if you press ZR whenever you're midair, it actually resets the counter on her midair attacks. Usually the amount of regular attacks you can do while your midair is capped at 3, but whenever you use her ZR, it will automatically reset this back to 0. This will allow you to spam her regular midair attack as many times as you want, but just make sure not to use her strong attack since that animation will send her back towards the ground. She does slowly fall every time you use your ZR press though, since you probably won't be nailing the timing every time, but usually by the time she does hit the ground again, you should be able to use her bomb rune again and just repeat this process. This may seem kind of odd, but it's actually pretty useful for hitting the heads on bosses and exposing their weak point gauge, since her midair attack is always going to be around their head level. Sidon has something kind of similar, but his is just more of an easier way to get in midair. If he uses X dash attack then press ZR at the apex of his jump, you can cancel out the rest of the animation and leave him midair. You can't paraglide from here though, and you can only use your midair combo once, so this one is way more limited, but it is actually useful for hitting the weak point gauges on Taluses and Hinoxes. Yunobo has a couple of essential mechanics that you need to know if you want to play him really well. The first is food cancelling, which allows you to press ZR mid-attack animation to pull out a rock roast and change your protection type. This does cancel out of your current attack, but it's really useful for swapping in protection type really quickly, so there's less wait time mid-battle. Just make sure that whatever attack you're doing has already done most of its damage before you actually cancel out of it. His second mechanic, which I believe is a glitch, is cancelling out of his C5. You can do this either by dodge cancelling or food cancelling, but all you need to do is use his powered up combo 5, and then whenever Yunobo hits the ground, quickly cancel out of the animation with either of those methods. For some weird reason, this makes this attack way more powerful, even to the point where it can take out entire weak point gauges in one shot, even on very hard mode. This isn't even hard to pull off, and the timing here is very lenient, making this a very good strategy for taking out bosses with Yunobo. And our last strategy slash glitch is probably the most broken thing in the entire game, and that has to do with the Great Fairy's unique action. As most of you probably know, you can use a unique action for an attack that is specific to each fairy, but upon using it, you'll switch you out. However, if you dodge cancel near the end of their attack, you can prevent that from happening. This allows you to spam a certain unique action you want over and over, and this gets really broken with Kotera, who is the Blonde Fairy. Her unique action applies a defense drop to all enemies, and that defense drop can stack. So if you keep spamming her unique action and dodge cancelling over and over again, you can easily wipe out any boss. This is so broken to the point where you can actually use this to take out Calamity Ganon in around 20-ish seconds. The timing here though is a little bit difficult to get used to at first, so I recommend you practice with this a little bit. But that's going to wrap up the video for today though guys. Those are all of the advanced strategies and glitches I have to share with you guys today. Hopefully you were able to learn at least a few new things that can help you when you're playing Age of Calamity. But if you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please make sure to leave me a like, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Zelda content. I think up next on the channel I'm planning on releasing a pretty long and comprehensive review of Age of Calamity, so we'll be discussing all of the different aspects of the game in detail, not just gameplay. We'll go over the story, progression systems, everything like that, so make sure to stay tuned if you're interested in that video. But other than that, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.